connecting with those you want to love you. We're following up to the love session. My name is Ed Howie, and this is Howie Grow a Brand. If you like what you learned from this video, help us promote this channel by clicking the like button below and subscribing to our channel, Howie Grow a Brand. Ready to go? Let's get into today's chat. So we're welcoming back David Strausser to Howie Grow a Brand for another episode. Let me tell you a little bit about David. David is the host of the smash hit small business growth podcast, Bite Biz. He's also a member of the Forbes Biz Dev Council, a Harvard Business Review Advisory Council member, and he's general manager of the Northeast region for Vision 33. He's also the CEO of his media company, Dead Brands, LLC. So David, having worked in tech for most of his professional life, he is focused on helping companies drive profit with the right technology. Now, David's a master at sales and marketing and business development, and he uses those skills to help guide customers in the small business arena, entrepreneurs like yourself, to find the right technological solution. Let me say that 3 times, technological solution. These experiences are creating business growth in the roaring 20s, as he calls it, and stands as a foundation for not only what he does for his business, but for the networking community he's building through Bite Biz. David's main specialty comes with Vision 33, where he manages the Northeast region. He helps customers automate their business processes, cut down on manual mundane practices, and eliminate data silos via the promise of technology. Now, specifically, David used SAP Business One and Sage Enact, where he runs a team of experts, both on the sales and the professional services side, that enable customers to digitally transform and gain value from their solution. Now, this may sound like David is just like a tech nerd. He is one of the most relational, fun-filled, love-focused tech nerds I've ever missed. And he's not a tech nerd. He's an incredible human. And I'm glad to welcome him to Howie Grow a Brand. And we're going to talk about ways that you can grow your brand by learning from someone just like David. Hello, David. Welcome back to Howie Grow a Brand.
Thanks, Ed. Love being here.
So, David, what I want to talk to you a little bit about is that knowing kind of how sales and business development and prospecting network was done 5 years ago. We've had this reimagination. It's one of the things that led you to launch your podcast.
Yep.
What do you see that is working today even more powerfully, and what do you anticipate over the next year or two relative to events and networking for someone wanting to build their community as well as to enrich the relationships they already have established?
Well, networking is tough right now because, obviously, I can't expect everybody to go out there and start their own podcast. Now, lack of going out there and starting that, it is, it's just difficult because we are in a digital first world because we got pushed off that digital edge by the virus that came out, the pandemic. And if you go back a couple of years ago, doing things digitally for webinars, networking, it really wasn't productive. It was junk. People wanted to think it was. Now things have changed, and it's around our mentality and how serious we take this stuff because it's our only option. So now tech companies have invested a lot of money to make these platforms better, more innovative,
That's how we're communicating right now.
Yeah. Look, Zoom, for example, look at all the innovations they've had over the last year. Now they let people record videos in HD because of exactly what we're doing right now.
Second, what do you see? What are you seeing? What's happened? Networking events. What about events, trade shows, that kind of thing? Do you have any booked?
So we just did last week. SAP had their SAP Business One and by Design annual conference that they do, and first time it was just fully digital.
Yeah,
and it was pretty good. They tried their best to be innovating and have fun with it, but I don't know. It's all kind of blah. I don't think it's as good as if it was in person.
Right.
Okay. But still a lot of information. You did it at the comfort of your home. For the amount of information that came out of that conference, you really have to think. I have a podcast episode with Blake Barkhouse, which is just about to come out. And he brought up an excellent point. For that type of conference like we just had,
Right.
where he would have had to travel all the way down there. And reality is that 2-day conference, I mean, we got compressed down to, I think, 4 hours, 2 hours.
Efficient use of time for sure. Yep.
Right. Is it worth that travel time? So going forward, I think what we're going to see is a lot more of hybrid events. That's going to be the next hashtag that you're going to see. But when I say hybrid, I'm talking about, say, the events in Orlando. If you're within a few hours drive, you're going to be going. If it's in New York and I'm in Philly, yeah, I'll probably go for the day trip, stuff like that. But if you're out in LA and it's in New York or Orlando,
right,
unless you're winning an award or you have a booth there and need to be there, it's probably better for you to do it digitally, because I think we've actually realized how much time we save by not having to do that commute and doing things. It just opens up a whole another level of efficiency. So
however,
think hybrid. Yes.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, however.
Hybrid. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. So with the hybrid events, I think that's going to be the next frontier. Okay?
I totally agree.
To where we have to kind of master that. How is the production going to be for these types of events to accommodate the smaller to mid-size amount that's, in person, as well as then all the people around the globe potentially that are joining virtually as well too. You're going to basically have almost 2 simultaneous events there.
Well, and so the however that I see in that is that from the standpoint of the information, the push of the messaging, even the pull, the reacting to the messaging, hybrid virtual can really support that. I was at my first live event several weeks ago, about 800 people in the same ballroom, and it was a little freaky walking in the door. It was so something totally accustomed to not. What was nice is that I was not able to be at the whole event. And so because it was digital and because it's all well recorded now, I now have access to all that information. So that's great. That on demand, I can get all the information, not only that I want to review, but I missed. However,
let's hear your big counter.
The personal networking that occurred on the breaks.
Yep.
The incredible humans that I met, getting a bottle of water out of the well, the buffet thing, or getting to visit with some of the employees at the Hyatt, and talk, that personal connection,
the personal touch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so that networking, to me, it's like if you're trying to eat a balanced diet and you're missing your carbs, and your carbs you're out of carbs in the way you typically get them, you have to find another way to get the carbs. And so I think as these hybrid events, what I fear is for the person, especially maybe more the introverted individual who loves all the virtual stuff, is you could get a year now and realize that your network is much smaller than it could have been because you have not had the opportunistic conversations with humans in real face. So if you're not reaching out to people,
that is where the digital.
That is where the digital comes in, because if you're not reaching out to people, that's right. If you're not reaching out to people through LinkedIn, striking up conversations, making connections, the number of people we haven't met the last year because we've been isolated is going to snowball, and your funnel could be dry if you are not deliberate. Right. Okay, so digital first.
In the beginning, where I was saying, unless you're starting a podcast, that is essentially what I was trying to say. Because even with all those digital events that we had over the past 14 months, I probably would have, come on, Soledad O'Brien, for example.
No, right.
I would have never had her, or conversed with her or have met her to that degree unless I was lucky. So it has completely expanded with that.
So third, final, what do you see? What's happening? What has to need to happen?
So I think what's happening, I will say e-com, because that's something that you had brought up earlier. E-com, it's here to stay. I just don't think it was always here. People were always going into it first with Amazon and sites like that. But I just feel that even as we transition out of everything to whatever this normal is going to be, it's still going to be a digital first world. I think people have been beaten and conditioned into that. So if your product, I mean, 2020, all the experts that came onto my show, they said that was a time to rebrand, to recreate your image, rethink how you're doing that, refresh everything, but do it in the context that it's a digital first world. You're targeting the people online first, and then maybe
Right.
offer in-store pickup or whatever online first.
Yeah, so I agree with that. Not only from the networking, like from the B2B, but the B2C. To me, the whole e-commerce thing is, so all my years with Chick-fil-A, would you like fries with that? The whole aspect of suggestive selling. One of the things about it is e-commerce can be, maybe it's not your primary sale, your initial sale. It could be your suggestive and recurring sale, making it easier for your customers to buy again and to buy without having to go through 12 steps. The fastest path to a sale is the easiest, shortest path to a sale for your customer, especially if they're already convinced they need you, right? And what's great about this
everything's about the ACV.
Say that again.
Everything's about the ACV, which is the recurring revenue, the predictable revenue that you're going to be getting. That is, I think, one of the biggest things that people kind of know, but a lot of people aren't talking about. We, even in the software world, I mean, we have changed, and this change has been happening slowly. But with COVID now, it's been pushed to the forefront because people want to pay a monthly payment. What you could get for a one-time payment of maybe $200,000, now you're able to get for monthly payments of $5,000. Okay. And it's all about building that recurring revenue right now.
Exactly. That recurring revenue, that incremental revenue. And I got to tell you, for everyone in our community, if you do not have an e-commerce aspect of your business, if that has been just like a involuntary decision, you need to make a voluntary decision that you're either going to have it or not, but you need to ask yourself that question, right? Because you could be leaving money on the table and you could be frankly losing customers. We've got a client who has no way right now of doing e-commerce, and they run the risk of missing opportunity.
Yeah. You remind me of when you were on my podcast and you were talking about joy and being in a joyless world at that moment in the midst of the pandemic around like July, August-ish.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Something like that.
It was.
And, that is the podcast episode that I have mentioned probably the most out of all of the podcasts that I've done, is you with that joy deficit and how to bring joy to the world and those little things. That's one of the messages that have just stuck in my brain at the forefront and has helped with my decision making going on. And I think you've got to do that as far as, the networking, bring the joy to people.
Bring the joy, make the connection. I got to tell you, that event I went into, the first couple of people's hands I shook, it was a little unjoyous. It was a little anxious, but
joyous.
Once I got comfortable with it, because it was like, you know what? A friend of mine was like, "Oh, the handshakes are going away." Like, well, you know what? Not in my world, brother. You don't want to shake my hand, fine, but you better watch out, because if you don't shake my hand, I may hug you.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Networking is connecting, and connecting is serving, and that's what it's really all about. Because we do that with the right customer, the right relationship, the sales comes. Yep. Awesome, David. Always a joy and a pleasure visiting with you.
No, thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Can't wait for our next conversation. See you, David.
Oh, see ya.
I hope this helps and inspires your day. If any of this works on your business this week, I'd love to hear about it in the comments, or please message me directly. Can't wait to see what we chat about on the next episode. We'll see you soon.